Let's pull back the curtain on something we do literally every single day, usually without a second thought, moving our money around. But have you ever stopped to ask how your money actually gets from point A to point B? It's not magic. It's a journey through this hidden world of financial architecture. And trust me, it's way more interesting than it sounds. I mean, think about it. You tap your card to buy a coffee, you Venmo a friend for lunch. It all feels totally instantaneous, right? But that simple little tap kicks off this incredible, complex chain reaction, a secret journey through the digital plumbing of our financial world. So, what is really going on in those few seconds? Okay, so the very first thing we have to get straight is this. The idea of money and the system that moves the money, they are not the same thing at all. We mix them up all the time, but they're two totally separate concepts. And understanding that difference, that's the key to unlocking how this whole world really works. Let's break it down like this. Money is the what. It's the value, right? It's the thing you're trying to send. The payment system, on the other hand, is the how. You can think of it like the financial plumbing, all the rails and pipes that your money travels through. And it's that plumbing that decides everything. How fast your money gets there, how much it costs, and how safe it is along the way. Now, here's the cool part. It doesn't matter if you're talking about an old school wire transfer or some brand new fintech app. Every single payment system in the world, no matter how simple or complex, is built on just two fundamental pillars. Once you get these two, you can understand pretty much any transaction out there. And here they are, clearing and settlement. That's it. First, there's an exchange of information, and then there's the actual transfer of value. The easiest way to think about it is like a promise and then the fulfillment of that promise. So let's take a look at each one. All right, first up is our first pillar, clearing. This is the promise to pay. This is basically the setup phase, you know? It's the agreement where everybody involved confirms all the details before any actual money goes anywhere. So going back to that coffee, the moment you tap your card, the clearing process kicks off. Your bank starts talking to the coffee shop's bank, making sure you have the money and they both agree on the details of the sale. It's like a digital handshake that says, yep, we're good to go, this payment is approved. But, and this is the most important part, no money has actually moved yet. It's just a promise. And that brings us to the second and final stage, settlement. This is where that promise we just talked about actually gets fulfilled. This is the moment the money really changes hands. Settlement is like the grand finale. It's the real, actual transfer of funds that pays off the debt for good. And the keyword on this slide is irrevocable. That means once settlement happens, it's final. It is done. There's no taking it back. The coffee shop officially has their money. Okay, seems pretty simple, right? A promise is made during clearing, and then the promise is kept during settlement. If both of these steps happen for every single transaction, what's the big deal? I mean, where could a problem possibly be hiding in this nice, neat little two-step process? Well, here it is. This is the core issue that has kept financial innovators up at night for decades. The problem isn't if these two steps happen, it's the time lag between when they happen. There's a gap, a delay between the promise and the final payment, and it's inside that gap that all the risk is hiding. This timeline lays it out perfectly. So you start the payment, clearing happens almost right away, the promise is made. But then you hit the gap. This gap could be just a few minutes, it could be hours, or in some systems, it could even be days. And during this time, your payment is just kind of stuck in financial limbo, waiting for the settlement to finally happen. While a payment is stuck in that gap, everyone involved is exposed to something called counterparty risk. That's a fancy term, but all it really means is it's the danger that the other person in the deal might fail to make good on their promise before the money finally shows up. A promise was made, sure, but there's a chance it could be broken before settlement is complete. And honestly, this one idea, this race to shrink that risky gap between clearing and settlement, is pretty much the driving force behind all modern payment innovation. From the first telegraph transfers all the way to today's real-time payment apps, the goal has always been exactly the same. Make the time between the promise and the payment as close to zero as humanly possible and get rid of that risk. So this leaves us with a really fascinating question for the future. We're in the middle of this global race to make that gap disappear completely. But what happens when we actually do it? What does a world look like where every single transaction settles instantly, where the promise and the payment happen at the exact same time? And what would that even mean for the future of money itself?